I dream of the day we ditch our Z-bands and let our inner monsters roar.
I have been so excited to make this video. Not even just because the first video did really well, but ever since that I found out that Addison is part alien, it has kept me up for nights on end wondering how the f that happened. Zombies 2 was released on February 14th, 2020. You know it as Valentine's Day, I know it as the day of the rapture. Much like its predecessor, it got generally mixed reviews and pretty okay ratings. Critics mostly cite this movie for its positive message and high energy atmosphere, which may be true, but something tells me that these positive messages are gonna be wildly more concerning than the reviews lead me to believe. The movie pulled in 2.46 million viewers on its premiere night, and if you think those numbers aren't impressive, please remember that The Walking Dead, a show that had been running for 20 years, only pulled in 2.27 million viewers on its series finale. So I wouldn't exactly consider 2.46 million to be unremarkable. I've been told that the music for this movie is also better than the original, which I'm inclined to believe because 4 of the 10 most popular songs from the trilogy are from this movie, which is even more impressive when you consider that 4 of the others are from this movie's sequel. These 4 songs also account for over half of the total listens of the top 10. So it seems to me that if I don't like these songs, I'm probably just a fucking idiot. It's not even a matter of opinion at this point, these songs just have to be bangers. But I think we should just get straight into watching the movie since we already covered a lot of the zombies lore in the first video. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Our movie begins in Seabrook with what has to be the weirdest fucking lore dump to ever happen in any movie, probably ever. Hundreds of years ago, during the colonial period, the Seabrook settlers, and I want to make a note that the movie literally calls them settlers, came across the indigenous monsters that inhabited the land. The Seabrook settlers then bravely fought off the monsters and their attacks. Okay, so we are exactly 34 seconds into this movie and they already managed to make it problematic. This is literally just what happened to Native American people, except now you've characterized them as werewolves. Not long after this, they found a power source, and because it's the 1600s, they not only took the power source, but they, and I quote, safeguarded it from the beasts. Nigga, they were there first! You think they just didn't know about this giant purple glowing rock that had been lying around for hundreds, if not thousands of years? The werewolves are also wearing necklaces that are eerily similar in color, shape, and radiance to that same crystal, and not one of them made a connection that they could possibly be related. So what did the settlers do with this power source? You know what? I'll give you a little pop quiz. Did they A, realize it wasn't theirs and return it, B, keep it locked up forever, C, begin to worship it as an omnipotent god, or D, use it as an industrial power source? Now, before you make your guess, these are 1600s Americans we're talking about here. Got your answer? Of course you do. They used it as an industrial power source for the next 400 years. They also specifically state that they grew very, very rich because of this power source. So they literally stole their land and resources to make money. I can't even make this shit up. You know what? I could make this shit up, I just wouldn't because the cultural implications of this are really concerning. You're seriously just taking American history books and coloring the pages with crayons. We get all this exposition from our main character Zed, played by Milo Manheim. He is the man single-handedly responsible for ending racism. We learn that things have now changed for the better for Zombieland and Seabrook. Businesses are booming and the coloreds can now live among the normals. Zed's dad, played by Tony Napo, is also now the foreman of the power plant in Zombieland. This scene only lasts 18 seconds though, so I'm guessing it's gonna be more important later than it is now. We switch to meet our next main character, Addison. Addison is played by Meg Donnelly. She hates racism and loves cheerleading. Today, Addison is attending cheer camp. The characters are attending cheer camp because the movie takes place during summer, so they need an excuse for cheerleaders to still exist. Cheer camp is led by simultaneously the best and the worst character in the whole series, Bucky. Unlike the previous 2 characters, he's an uber racist. But it's actually kind of impressive how discriminatory this guy is, so I'm not even really mad about it. Next, we're introduced to the Spectrum Squad once again. Straight, bisexual, and... Wait, what the fuck happened to my man Gay? Who is this nigga? Okay, well apparently Tracy's actor, Mickey Nguyen, was filming a show called Utopia and was not able to return for the future Zombies movies. They don't give a lore reason for where he is during this movie, in fact they never even reference him, so I'm just going to assume the worst and hold a funeral for him later tonight. Anyway, Bucky splits up the cheerleaders into two groups and we transition into our next scene where we catch up with Eliza. Eliza is played by Kylie Russell and is doing the only thing that the movies ever allow her to do, and is currently protesting the destruction of Seabrook Power. They're tearing it down to be replaced with a cheerleading pavilion, which although, yeah, it's a weird thing to replace it with, the building has been unfunctional for years, and she's protesting the destruction of it because she thinks the building is a part of zombie heritage. Also, I know she's a zombie, but she still manages to somehow make this feel racist.
I dream of the day we ditch our Z-bands and let our inner monsters roar.
Zed gives us more exposition, which I'm sure is his favorite way to spend time, and lets the audience know about Prawn, which is prom, but now there's shrimp involved. This is also the first year that zombies will be allowed to attend Prawn. Addison also explains that she's still being discriminated against because her hair is white. Yeah, sure, Queen. Here we get our first song of the film, titled We Got This. It's actually a pretty good song. The beat and melody are very well produced. I feel like the singers have come much more into their grooves. The music just feels like it has a lot more synergy with itself than it did in the first movie, if that makes any sense. There's also a short little ballad here, which is only funny to me because of this singular shot. What the kind of cheer camp even is this? Seriously, these groups are doing two entirely different things right now. Also, this is most certainly assault in some degree, as well as the shredding of Addison's mail just being a literal federal crime and can result in fines up to $250,000 and 3 years in jail. Addison and the newbies end up winning the cheer cup, but Bucky takes the time to make this about himself by announcing that he's running for school president. I'm assuming he means student body president, but he specifically says school president, so I'm gonna say that. Also, Bree decides for Addison that Addison will be running for cheer captain as Bucky can't fill both spots. Okay, this is definitely illegal. You know what? F it. We're counting crimes again. This is zombie crime number 3. Driving with obstructed vision. Speaking of Bree though, she's played by Carla Jeffrey and is Addison's ride or die. She's sad because she hasn't been invited to Prawn by our next character, Bonzo. Bonzo is played by James Godfrey and is your classic big-hearted idiot. Both of these characters were just plot devices in the last movie, so it's good to see them getting a little more attention and screen time here. Addison is also sad that Zed hasn't yet invited her to Prawn, but Zed has an elaborate plan set up. Or rather, he's setting it up because the bus is coming in hot at him. And rather than stop or just drive around, the school shrimp bus driver decides to keep driving straight at him. This is because his vision is obstructed and he couldn't see Zed even though he was directly in front of the school bus. The bus driver also drives off the road and continues to do anything but press the brakes. Addison also does the dumbest possible thing she could do in the situation and leaves the bus to go find Zed. I was gonna make a joke here about Zed getting punched because he's black, but I gotta respect Addison's preference to going the fight route. I gotta give some respect to anyone whose first instinct is to throw hands. Addison notices and tells the group that they're surrounded by werewolves, and I 100% guarantee you that this is the first joke that they wrote in this movie.
Werewolves!
Werewolves? Werewolves!
Oh, okay, so we're just gonna jump cut back to regular society now? No explanation for how they got out of this? They're holding a town hall meeting to assess the situation, and this was 100% the second joke they wrote for this movie.
There are werewolves circling us right now, waiting to attack.
Yeah, and I'm way too tasty. I'm always looking like a snack.
Also, in case you forgot, which you probably did because this wasn't an important detail at all in the first movie, but Addison's mom is the mayor of Seabrook, and you will not believe what they do to try and protect people from werewolves.
Effective immediately, all anti-monster laws are reinstated.
Seriously, this is like if they brought back all of the Jim Crow laws because they thought Native American people might want their land back someday. These two things have nothing to do with each other. They're just scared because they're not normal people. Zed also thinks now is the best time to ask Addison to prom. Dude, she just got in a car crash, found out werewolves are real, and racism was just made legal again. What the f could have possibly made you think that this was a good time for this? Addison actually says no for the last reason. Zombies can't go to Prawn anymore because they just repealed the 14th Amendment. But because Addison still has the good old white savior complex, she decides to end racism herself. Quick spoiler alert, they actually don't do anything with that. She says she'll do something, but she never does anything. There's also this 30-second gag here about the coach closing his froyo stand. I don't think it's unfunny, but why the f is it here? Like, I really like the coach. He was my favorite character in the first movie, but why have him at all if he does nothing in significance and we literally never see him again in the rest of the movie?
They see one werewolf and we can't go to Prawn? Okay, we have to fight this.
Seriously, Eliza's character is so annoying. The only thing she does in these movies is fight the power. Like, it feels like she has no real discernible personality. She's just here to remind the audience that some people hate racism more than others. Zed's younger sister, Zoe, played by Kingston Foster, also talks to this random guy who turns out to be a werewolf. He returns to the forest and does this. His name is Wyatt, played by Pierce Joza. He's a werewolf who is searching for someone called the Great Alpha. Oh, yeah, I didn't know Andrew Tate was in this movie. We're also introduced to Wyatt's sister, Willa, played by Chandler Kinney. She doesn't believe the Great Alpha is real and also has a terrible case of sarcastic character syndrome. Lastly in the scene is Winter, played by Ariel Martin. She's actually just here to explain everything to the audience verbally. She literally says out loud to the other werewolves that they'll track the alpha down using their keen sense of smell, and that they need the stone to stay wolf strong for another 100 years. The werewolves are under the impression that Addison is the Great Alpha because she has all white hair and... oh. So there's no Andrew Tate cameo. Okay. They decide to head out that very night and figure out whether or not she really is the alpha female. This next scene starts with people randomly doing flips, so I'm sure there's gonna be a song here. Yep, called it. Holy sh**. This is the song that was trending on TikTok like 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there is this string of unbelievably cringe-inducing TikToks that spawned from this song. This song is far from terrible. I can see why people on TikTok latched onto it, but the best part is the chorus. And the chorus is like 90% of the song. So it just ends up feeling very repetitive. Because it is very repetitive. The werewolves commit zombie crime number 4, trespassing, and they hide in this air vent overnight. I think this is an Among Us reference. Either that or I'm stupid. Both are equally possible. Seriously though, they hid 20 people in a fucking air vent overnight. They seriously couldn't have come up with a better hiding spot? Better yet, why the did they bring 17 backup dancers? Why did you need so many people here for this? Bucky makes his grand introduction for class president, but why are the zombies cheering? He is literally the most racist person in the school, only followed by the principal. Zed announces that he's also running for president because it's not illegal to run for president as a zombie. There is no way that there isn't a rule against this. There is seriously no way. These are the most thoroughly racist people ever. How is this allowed? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the plot does require it, yeah. The werewolves leave their hiding spot and begin their prowl for Addison. So their plan was to just walk right in during the busiest time of day? Why did they need to hide in a vent overnight to do this? The wolves stand down because they don't want to start a war with the town of Seabrook, and they begin to act as if they want to join their school. And everyone just kind of welcomes them in because once again, the plot requires it, even though they literally just committed an act of terrorism, as the only thing that Winter says when they walked in was that they wanted to spill the blood of everyone in the building. That makes this zombie crime number 5. But Zed is more than on board with this because these guys are going to be the swing vote in the election as the school is currently evenly split between Bucky and Zed. Zombie crime number 6 is stalking. Seriously dude, just talk to her. Also, I found the third joke that they wrote.
That dog just ate my homework!
I'm counting this as crime number 7, destruction of property. Yes, I know it's just paper, but it's still property. Willa is also upset that the history books lied about the fact that the werewolves attacked the settlers when in fact it was the other way around. Wow, this really is just a cheaply written metaphor for America, isn't it? Eliza and Zed try and go get the vote of the werewolves, but the werewolves are thoroughly unentertained with their antics. Well, at least until Zoe literally pets Winter. I'm okay with it this time because Zoe doesn't call her a good girl and nobody barks this time. Eliza points out that their necklaces seem to be powered. Willa then explains that their necklaces not only hold all of their furry power inside, but they need their necklaces or else they'll literally cease to exist. After hearing that information, Zed still insists that the werewolves need to assimilate into white society, which is where we get our next song about fitting in. It's actually a fucking banger, but there's this line where Zed says that they need to brush their hair and do their makeup. One of these niggas literally has dreads and they all wear eyeshadow, so they've definitely got those bases covered. These guys have issues, but basic cleanliness doesn't seem to be one of them. In terms of the music though, in my opinion, Milo Manheim's voice seems to be a lot more confident and at home with music like this. I never really thought that Milo had a voice for hip hop, but he sounds really good on this California pop style. The next next day, it's pretty apparent that Zed won't be getting the werewolf vote, but Bonzo points out that Zed has been editing pictures of himself to look more human. This is uncomfortably similar to the practice where magazines will lighten the skin color of dark-skinned black people because white people tend to be less comfortable around dark-skinned black people. This is a real phenomenon, and it's actually the inciting incident of a TV show called Woke. It's not the best show in existence, but the point that it makes is still very strong. The werewolves show up to cheer practice the next day, and Addison lets them join after they say they're not going anywhere. But because the plot requires it, they already know all of the choreography and are natural-born cheerleaders. Because Eliza is a good friend to Zed, she puts the idea in Zed's head that Addison wants to Wyatt, because they're literally just talking, and that's the only reason that Eliza gives. Winter also begins to die because, I don't know, she has not enough moonlight in her bloodstream or something. I don't know, I'm not a werewolf expert or anything. Give me a break. Bucky also elects Addison to be the cheer captain, because with the werewolves on the cheer team, the election is going to swing in his favor. Okay, yeah, no, this does look a little sus. Addison notices Zed lustfully staring through the door. Zed and Addison have a little bit of a lover's quarrel. Zed is upset because the werewolves are having everything handed to them, and the zombies had to work hard for everything they earned. That is actually a f***ing boomer mentality. Zed and Addison's argument heats up, and Addison begins to talk about how she's an outsider because of her white hair, and how everyone treats her differently. Yeah, no? She's still entirely accepted by everyone except the Spectrum Squad. No one else has any problems with her. Like, dude, I completely get it. Having white hair at 16 is probably not all that awesome, but bruh, it is surely not that deep. As far as you and everyone around you is aware, you are still strictly and actually a human. But Addison says she simply respects the werewolves because they're proud of who they are. Addison sets out and sings a song about wanting to belong, and Zed duets about how much he hurt Addison. This is a good song, but my entire issue with it is that it's a song about Addison acting like her life is oh so hard. Like, she genuinely thinks she's a whole different group or race because of what? Because she has different hair color? Like, dude, at least you're not a ginger or anything. Count your blessings, dog. After the song, Addison hears something at the door and goes to check it out, only to find a group of werewolves who are asking her very calmly to come with them.
We've been trying to contact you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Which she does because, I don't know, I guess they just asked very, very nicely. Willa and Wyatt explain to Addison that the werewolves are becoming weaker every day without the power of the crystal. Zed decides that he needs to go apologize to Addison, even though he can't leave due to zombie curfew being in place. So they're gonna have to be very careful. Oh, Bree is here. If you're curious about how the hell that happened, you're just gonna have to stay that way because the movie just doesn't explain it. Bree explains that Addison has gone missing and also flirts with Bonzo for no reason. I mean, like, I get it, Bonzo's hot, you know, you got the hots for him, but girl, there's a time and a place. You just found out your friend has probably been kidnapped? Eliza is able to track down Addison to the Forbidden Forest, and Zed pieces together that the werewolves might have her. Addison is welcomed into the wolf den, where she learns the basics of werewolf tongue. They only say, you know what? I'm not gonna say it because I don't need an audio clip of me making wolf sounds on the internet. They do this. The only difference in the words seems to be the inflection of how they say it. This has got to be the only language on Earth that is somehow more obnoxious than French. This next song is called Call to the Wild and is about how Addison might be a werewolf. They really stepped up their music game in this movie. The beats and melodies themselves are drastically improved. And although I think the lyricism is effective, it kind of leaves a lot to be desired. It's not really creative at all. They just say exactly what they're thinking with zero nuances. I mean, seriously, just look at these lyrics from various songs in the movie. They're just not creative. They use surface level rhymes, and I swear they only use an AB rhyme scheme for like 80% of these. Addison also gets a quick little costume change, and this is because she attended hero support class at Sky High. Zed also shows up here and runs in to protect Addison, even though he just watched them harmlessly sing an entire fucking musical number with her. This is actually two zombie crimes. Zombie crime 8 is breach of curfew because there's a curfew in Zombieland and he just snuck out. And zombie crime 9 is trespassing. Zed then zombies out and yeets this guy. Like, seriously, this guy is dead. And they're just not gonna address it at all? So I'm now charging Zed with zombie crime number 10, second-degree murder. Addison slaps Zed's Z-band back on and she explains that she didn't need physical help, she just needed help on her chemistry test. The werewolves then offer Addison a moonstone, and if she puts it on and turns into a werewolf, then that means she's a werewolf, and she'll have to live among them for the rest of her life. Well, that doesn't sound threatening and or unappealing at all. The earth begins to shake and they all notice that the zombie power plant is testing explosions for tomorrow's demolition. And Addison pieces together that the moonstone is what's been powering the power plant. Wait, seriously, hold on, because this is one hell of a plot hole. This is the thing that has been powering Seabrook for 400 years or more, and they're just gonna blow up the building that's on top of it? Did they just forget it's down there? Did they forget that they have a giant fucking purple rock that powers their city and made them incredibly wealthy? The Spectrum Squad says that Addison's hair looks bad and that she'll never be cheer captain with hair like that. But Addison says that maybe she doesn't want to be cheer captain. Wow, she was around those guys for like 2 hours tops and she's already given up on all of her hopes and dreams? That has to be like the high school burnout world record. But Addison is now dead set on becoming a werewolf, and she's gonna put on the moonstone next time she sees the werewolves. Yeah, it's gonna be really embarrassing when she puts it on in front of everyone and then just doesn't turn into a werewolf, because it's incredibly obvious that she isn't one. Also, Addison hands Zed the stone and then somehow forgets it, walks away, and then goes to get it back from him. So I bet you Nathan's firstborn that Zed swiped it from the box. Bucky also read a smear campaign on Zed, which makes this zombie crime number 11, slander and libel. It's written, but it's on a poster, so I'm counting both because I'm not sure which one it is. I'm not a lawyer. Addison comes in on the wolves discussing their evil plans, and because Winter is stupid, she immediately tells Addison what they're up to. And because she's also cringe, she does this too.
Bad wolf, bad wolf.
Seriously, she's literally like that one girl from art class. You know the one. Addison says she wants to come along because she wants to be one of the werewolves and takes out the necklace box only to find the necklace missing. Wow, that reveal took a lot less time than I thought it would. It's literally one scene later. Zed and Bucky begin their debate, and because the writers remembered this is a musical, they decide to have a rap battle. This literally sounds as if they made a Kids Bop version of epic rap battles of history. The song itself isn't terrible. To me, it's just a little below average, but I think it's enjoyable. But my actual problem with this is, how the f is this a debate? They are literally just insulting each other and then jerking themselves off for exactly 2 minutes and 49 seconds. They literally never once talked about their actual platform. Well, actually, you know what? That's not true. Zed says he'll get rid of homework. After winning the debate, the moonstone causes Zed to zombie out in front of the crowd. Bucky knows that Zed won't attack him because of the events of the film, but he goads him into being more of a monster and throwing this podium. After literally a minute of this, I'm entirely serious, it goes on for a whole minute before Eliza just tells him to simply take off the moonstone. It's safe to say that Zed has now lost the election. Also, Zed did just commit Zombie Crime 12, Destruction of Property, and Zombie Crime 13, Terrorism. Yes, it is actually terrorism. I'm not making that up to be funny. That is literally an act of terrorism. The werewolves have already enacted their plan, and they managed to trigger an alarm in the power plant. Don't ask how they got in or triggered the alarm, because it literally happens after a commercial break, and it's not explained what happens between them leaving the school and the alarm being triggered. The Z alarm goes off, and Addison tells Bree to rally everyone to help out the wolves. Nigga, who's gonna help them? Oh yeah, let's run headfirst into a power plant that's in the middle of being demolished to go help the werewolves steal back a power source that is still unconfirmed to even be there. Speaking of which, the wolves committed zombie crimes 14 and 15, breaking and entering and trespassing. There is a lot of trespassing in this movie. Also, there's another song. Seriously, what the f? Can you imagine you find a group of werewolves breaking into your construction zone and they just start singing and dancing? Like they're backing up like they're scared. To be fair, I guess I would be scared too, because no sane person would just start singing and dancing when threatened with arrest. This is not the Guardians of the Galaxy level standoff you think it is.
Bring it down hard. Someday.
Okay, holy shit, you gotta be kidding me. This is the backup they were talking about? Once again, I completely understand this is a musical, but holy shit, this is so unbelievably outlandish. They just broke in here to start singing a musical number. Seriously, there is no reason to be doing all this. In Zombies 1, it made quite a bit of sense because firstly, it was a cheerleading competition, and secondly, cheerleading was the point of the whole goddamn movie. Love the song, love the choreography, but bruh, you're standing above like 30 tons of TNT? Probably not the best time to be hitting the whippin' nay-nay. Zed's dad, being the foreman, shuts down the detonation, and they're gonna dig for the crystal tomorrow morning. Aren't the wolves, like, dying? Like, I get it, safety and OSHA and all that, but Winter is literally coughing like Walter White in Breaking Bad Season 1? I'm not sure she's gonna last until tomorrow. Zed also reveals to Addison that he took the Moonstone from her. Now, although Addison is completely within her right to be mad at Zed, she doesn't have the right to be upset because she says she's finally where she belongs. Now, Addison is about to put on the necklace, and I want you to guess whether or not she'll be joining the furry committee. See, Addison's problem is that she never stopped to assume for 1 second that she isn't a f***ing werewolf. Nigga, have you never heard of something called the benefit of the doubt? She's been conducting her whole life as if she is a werewolf when she had no solid confirmation of such. And I'd like to remind you that from any time yesterday night to the time that Zed took the stone, she could have just put it on. And honestly, I have a hard time believing she wouldn't have. Like seriously, this is a girl who's been wanting to know her place for years. But she just figured, might as well wait one more night for dramatic effect. Nigga, no! She would have put that shit on post-haste. All that singing and dancing from earlier caused the detonation remote to get wet and make it short out. This causes the detonation to get set off too soon. Wow, they really had no secondary protection for that. Just that one remote, huh? Well, this was bound to happen then. The wolves then immediately begin coughing, so it looks like they got about 10 minutes to live. This actually works out quite well for them because that's exactly how much time is left in the movie.
The center of zombie and werewolf culture is in rubble, and I still don't have a pack.
Holy sh**, there is no way this line is real. She seriously managed to make this about her? That is actually insane. She said the whole sentence out loud, then added another sentence to make the situation about her. That is actually quite insane. Zed goes to give some motivation to the werewolves to do something, but what his plan is exactly is unclear. I can't imagine what they could possibly be doing because they're all literally dying, but let's just see how this plays out. Okay, you know what? F it up, Bucky. Nah, I'm not even gonna cap. Bucky and the Spectrum Squad really clean up well. Yeah, f it up. The zombies and the werewolves show up to Prawn for some reason. I think it's like to take some moral stand, but like, nigga, she's literally dying. I guess these guys just really love trespassing. Addison also stopped deciding to play Native American, and she goes back to being white. They also do a reprise of the song from Zombies 1 titled Someday in this scene. Listen, it's a good song, but this is the third time I've heard this song. Just write a new one, bro. Okay, they're doing this to me on purpose. It's on purpose now. They're doing this solely to hurt me. I'm gonna f***ing lose it. Something begins to shake the earth and cause a rift all the way from the power plant to Seabrook High. Zed says that the energy from the Moonstone must have created a fault line, and if they follow the crack, it must lead them to the Moonstone. Seriously, he says exactly that. Like, that's verbatim what he says. How the hell was that bro's first guess? Also, this is not a structurally sound tunnel, so at least one person is gonna die on the way there for sure. The wolves make their way to the Moonstone and touch tips with it to recharge their wolf energy. The zombies and humans show up and try to help the werewolves carry the Moonstone out, but surprise, surprise, I was correct about the cave being structurally unsound, and the stone slab collapses on the only way out. So Zed has to Hulk out to keep the door open. So he learns to control his zombie urges to let everyone out of this cave. This is literally just the baby's first version of episode 13 of Attack on Titan. Also, this is our last and final zombie crime, theft of property. Because legally speaking, it does belong to Seabrook now. Like, dog, I get it, the Seabrook colonizers stole it first, but that was 400 years ago. At this point, it's just theirs. Zed gets trapped inside, but apparently he doesn't. Like, we literally just saw him get trapped inside, but whatever. And Eliza takes the opportunity to take a picture for the gram. This is the last song of the movie also. It's the classic, hey look, we worked together to solve this problem that we literally caused, and also we're friends now song. Oh, and hey look, Bucky is the good guy again. But seriously, the song is just about how racism is over again. But if I had $1 for every time racism ended in this universe, I would have $4. Which isn't a lot, but it's f***ing crazy that it happened 4 times, right? Wait. What is this? Yes! Yes! Thank God! Oh my God, finally I can f***ing die! I can die! And because this is a franchise that Disney makes a shit ton of money off of now, there's a sequel tease here. But after that, our movie finally ends. Before we get into the general review, I'm gonna go over in greater detail of why exactly this movie is, once again, really in what it's trying to say. There is no two ways about it. The werewolves are a metaphor for Native Americans. Their history is literally just their real-life history being imposed on fictional creatures, and it is super weird and very not okay. Because now you've equated actual people who were removed from their own land and demonized for years and equated them to furry, aggressive, tradition-based beasts who live in the wild and speak in silly languages. I know it may seem like I'm looking for reasons to be upset, but trust me, I didn't really have to look that hard. This movie looked the problem with American history in the face and said, what if we made this into a movie for kids? At least in Zombies 1, the zombies were just a metaphor for black people. Can you imagine if in Zombies 1, they said, hey look, these zombies just came in from this boat and we offered them a job, but they said no, so we put them in this corner. Like seriously, it's really f***ed up that they used what actually happened. They didn't change anything at all. At the very best, they just gave a very truncated version of it. Also, Zed was literally whitewashing himself for this whole movie. It was a major plot point that I downplayed for the sake of making this video not too long, but yeah, it happened and it was very concerning. The fact that Addison somehow needs to inject herself into every interaction is actually insane. I get it, she wants to know where she came from, but dude, you can't just sing a song and then think you're one of them. This is like if Logic started singing a Chief Keef song and thought it made him mixed. What do you mean Logic mixed? Like you can get the dreads and wear the Timberlands, but that doesn't mean you're a werewolf. If I could make one legitimate piece of advice for how to change these movies going forward, it would be to not make Addison the main character. She should really be an outsider looking in, not someone whose struggle is equated to the years of oppression and bigotry that the people who are actually being discriminated against face. The fact that they even managed to make these movies about her is as crazy as it is impressive. For the sake of not making this video much longer, I'll leave it here, but please leave any of your other thoughts in the comments, because I would love to have more of a discussion with you guys about this. Now, was this movie any better than the first one? No. No, not even close. No. Other than the music, this movie is worse in almost every way. The camera work, the direction, the original characters, the story, they're all significantly worse and less fun than they were in the first movie. I do think this movie is a lot funnier than the first one, actually. It's a lot more campy and it takes itself much less seriously, which this movie desperately needed to do. It was ridiculous how little the last one tried to make actual jokes. Are the jokes in this movie really that funny? No, but I'm also 20. They got a chuckle out of me and that's all I can really ask for. I'm sure the intended audience would be dying of laughter at this. The music is also much better, mostly because it feels like they actually tried to be any kind of creative or innovative with this. The beats and melodies of the songs, even the ones I didn't like, are all much more inventive and appealing to listen to. The first movie song seriously could have been made in GarageBand on an iPhone. Like I said earlier, the lyrics, although they leave much to be desired in terms of creativity, are much more fun to listen to and significantly more catchy than the songs in Zombies 1. I also got onto Zombies 1 for having a lack of actual tracks in the movie, and that's not a problem here at all. There are 9 original tracks in this film, but like 4 of them are in the third act, and it throws off the pacing of the movie a lot. Because you have to remember that songs, a lot of the time, just completely halt the progression and pacing of the movie. They don't actually move the story forward at all. They serve to reinforce important things that are currently happening or have already happened. So when they spent 3 minutes singing about how they shouldn't destroy the factory, even though it was a banger, it was an unproductive banger. Oh, and then the factory blew up anyway. Because this movie is a sequel, I'm gonna keep the review section short and sweet. I'm gonna give Zombies 2 a little lower than its predecessor at only a 4 out of 10. It's not good. It's an objectively bad film. The pacing is ass, the story is shaky, and the message is ultimately unclear. There isn't enough things that redeem this movie for me to give it any higher than this. That being said, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10 for the fun score. That might be surprising to those of you who remember that I gave Zombies 1 a 4 out of 10 on the fun score, but that's because they acted like Zombies 1 was actually cinema. This movie seems to have a much better idea of what it is. It's considerably funnier both ironically and intentionally, and the songs keep your attention for the whole duration of them. Not to mention there are 10 of them this time around. I don't think this movie is objectively good, but if you've just downed a bottle of Jack Daniels, you're bound to have a good time. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. I've been so excited to make this one, and it's probably my most requested video ever, and I'm sure after this goes up, Zombies 3 will be my most requested video. Also, thank you guys for helping me hit 30,000 subscribers. I am recording this video a week in advance, so I'll probably be a little past that by now. It is still just insane to think that I hit 30,000 subscribers. That is a whole stadium that I could fill with you guys. When I hit 50,000 subscribers, I wanted to get to do a giveaway, something that's both simple but fun for you guys. I'm still a college student, so I don't have the time to do something really extravagant. Unfortunately, I'd love to do more, but I do still just want to give back to you guys now. Anyway, we need to hurry up and go because Nixie's got dance recital in like 25 minutes. What? Huh. Well, do you guys want to watch Zombies 3?